I often hear about how there's just a ton of bad comics out right now. There's not much worth reading. A lot of people have abandoned reading comics month to month, and so on and so forth. So today, I wanted to make a video talking about what I think are the best comics out right now, what you should be picking up if you are going to your comic shop every month, or if you want to get back into comics. Here's, in my opinion, what you should be picking up. So let's start off with the independent stuff, and then we'll go to DC and Marvel. So my first suggestion would be all of the Ghost Machine books. Ghost Machine is something that Jeff Johns set up. That is his imprint with Image, and he has several books out right now. We got 3 books, and they're expanding. But we've got Geiger, which is a post-apocalyptic sort of think. If you played Fallout New Vegas, it's sort of like that type of ideal because it takes place over in that part of the world with like New Mexico and Vegas and all that. And so Geiger is this guy who had a family and he had a cancer diagnosis, and then all these nukes got dropped, the world went to crap, and now he's got power suddenly. And there's a lot of people out there that have taken control of different spots and ruled differently. Again, sort of like Fallout New Vegas, if you played that. And he's just, it's sort of like a road adventure. It's like a road trip adventure book currently, because there's this one guy that's joined along with him, and they're just going looking for something that I don't want to spoil, since I'm assuming you haven't read it. That's the whole point of this video, is introducing you to comics that you haven't read, so I don't want to spoil them for you. But if you're into that sort of vibe of post-apocalyptic Fallout New Vegas type, you'll like it. It's good. The art is by Gary Frank, who is my favorite artist, and he just kills it every single issue. Every single issue looks amazing. And there's a lot out for Geiger too, because this is its like 3rd series, because we had a beginning sort of mini series, and then we had a little prequel series, and now we're on to the ongoing that's happening right now. It's definitely worth reading. It's really good. Next up, we got Redcoat, which is Brian Hitch does the art on it. Jeff Johns writes all these books, by the way, but Brian Hitch is the artist. I love Brian Hitch, and I think he does a really cool job with this book. Redcoat is a alternate take on the Revolutionary War, and past that, it's basically like, what if the founding of America was due to like cult magic? And so the founding fathers did a bunch of like weird cult black magic, and that's what helped them win the war. But this one just random redcoat soldier accidentally stumbled upon one of their rituals, and now he's immortal, but he's awful at everything. He's not like some big overarching like villain or anything like that. He's not like some capable guy. It even talks about in the book like he was horrible at everything he did as a soldier, and it took him a long time, like decades, to get good at really anything at all, and he's still not very good at anything. But he's stumbling along. They're still trying to kill him because they're immortal as well, some of the founding fathers. And it's a fun book. I enjoy it. I think it's the weakest of the 3 Ghost Machine books out right now, but I still enjoy it, and it's a fun time. It's very unique. It's like a very interesting book, and I like it a lot. And again, Brian Hitch always has nice art to look at. And the 3rd Ghost Machine book we got is Rook Exodus, which is from Jason Fabok, is the artist on that, and Jeff Johns again is writing. Jason Fabok is one of the best in the industry, and he kills it every single issue on this. This is another really interesting, unique concept where they're on like a new Earth, like Earth got just bad things happen at Earth. So this sort of company decided to create like a new Earth. You're on this new Earth. A lot of people, they're called wardens, get these helmets to where they can control different wildlife. And the one we're following, the main guy, is Rook, who controls crows. And as that kind of sounds sucky, and it is. Every time his inner monologue is like, crows suck, and they don't really like support me very well. Unlike other people, like there's another lady in there, that has wolves, and like the wolves support her and everything. Like she gets to go around, where the crows are constantly like just telling Rook like, fly out of there, get away, why aren't you flying, dumbass? And it's great because like everyone else has got all these cool ones. Like the main villain is this guy who has a bear helmet that's mysterious right now. No one knows really anything about him, but he's causing havoc and he's killing a bunch of wardens. So the 2 main characters are Rook and the direwolf lady, and they are trying to stop this bear guy who's been causing a lot of problems and killing a lot of people, including people that they love. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's pretty cool. It's very unique. And again, Jason Fabok. Dude, Jason Fabok's one of the best. And this is such a pretty book. And it's this and Geiger are neck and neck for like my favorite Ghost Machine book. They're so close. It depends on the day. I'd say I like Geiger slightly more, but also there's been way more Geiger. But Rook Exodus is amazing. That's it for the Ghost Machine books, but there is one more independent book that I want to suggest, which is an Image book called Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. This is written by Gary Duggan, and the art is done by Gary Brown. Gary Duggan, I've never really been a big fan of his, so I didn't have a lot of expectations. But we're 2 issues in, and I'm enjoying it so far. And this is my favorite thing I think I've read of his. And the art by Gary Brown is fantastic. I don't know if I've ever read anything of his before, but nothing I can think of at the top of my head. But his art is beautiful. He's doing a great job on this book. And it's only 2 issues in, so there's still time for this to either get even better or get worse. So if you're reading this after we're like 5 issues in and it's really bad, don't blame me. But 2 issues in, I'm enjoying it. It's got a pretty cool premise, which is there's this cowboy and this samurai lady that both had their own respective battles. Something happened. They got to where they were essentially both bleeding out, and they went to their respective coasts. And then they saw an island pop up, and for some reason felt like a need to go to that island. They ended up like swimming to that island while they're dying. They get there, and then it turns out it's purgatory. So that's why they're on the path to hell. They have to fight through a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff going on that I don't want to spoil, and they're having to team up. And I'm assuming they're gonna fall in love. Only 2 issues in, hasn't happened yet, but I'm assuming that the title isn't lying to us. So it's pretty interesting so far. The premise is cool. I'm a big Old West cowboy fan, so anything with like any Old West stuff in it, I love. So of course I picked it up because of that. But him and the samurai lady make a cool duo right now. I'm excited, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. And yeah, I suggest picking it up. Now on to Marvel. My favorite Marvel comic out right now is Incredible Hulk from Philip Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein. If you've been around the channel for a bit, you know that I love Philip Kennedy Johnson. He's one of my favorite writers in comics right now, and Nick Klein absolutely is amazing on this book. Everything he does is great, but his Hulk transformations are second to none. The way Hulk just absolutely brutalizes Bruce Banner every time he transforms is insane. It looks so gruesome and gnarly. And Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing what Philip Kennedy Johnson does, which is he's introducing a lot of lore into this, and character work, and the world building is really cool to see. So the premise of this book is there's this girl that's kind of teamed up with Hulk begrudgingly, except more begrudgingly on Bruce Banner than Hulk, because Bruce Banner's like, if you follow us, bad things are going to happen. You shouldn't do it. But she has nowhere to go. She comes from an abusive household. Her dad did a lot of bad things, which again, don't want to spoil. And she's got a side to her and things to her that make her more than meets the eye. But she follows Hulk. She's been inspired by Hulk. She loves Marvel superheroes, and she follows him. And Hulk kind of takes a liking to her. Something's happened to her recently where she's in a bad spot, and they're really trying to get her out of that spot. And it's cool just seeing them go through it. And of course, Banner and Hulk are just, as always, at odds with each other, and I love their dynamic and the way Philip Kennedy Johnson writes it. And it's much more sort of like a horror comic too than just like an action adventure beat 'em up. It's very much has horror aspects to it, especially with the villains that show up and what they do to go after Hulk. It's really good. It's my favorite Marvel book out right now. Next up is one that I don't even have to tell you, but that's Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm not even the biggest Spider-Man fan. I generally don't really pick up a lot of the newer Spider-Man comics, but I picked this up because I heard it was really good when it first came out. Everyone was talking about the first issue was amazing. I read it. It's great. I'm really enjoying Ultimate Spider-Man right now. It's like the best-selling comic out right now, so there's a reason for that. They're finally giving the fans what they want with Peter. He's got a happy family. He's with MJ. He's got the kids. And it's cool seeing him like discover things because the Ultimate Universe is back now, because Ultimate Universe went away and now it's back. And now they're having to take these characters that aren't heroes and turn them into heroes is what's going on with the Ultimate Universe. Because like the Anthony Stark of this universe is going around to the different heroes. I haven't read all the Ultimate stuff, so I'm not 100% caught up on all of it, but I've read all of Ultimate Spider-Man. But he introduces Peter to like this idea that, hey, you were supposed to be Spider-Man, but then all this stuff happened and you ended up not being Spider-Man. So Peter Parker that's well into his adult years, that has kids and is married to Mary Jane, now all of a sudden is like, oh, I wasn't supposed to just be a photographer at the Daily Bugle? Okay. And so he's learning to be a hero and learning things. There's a lot of different relationship dynamics are way different than the normal 616. For instance, something that happens early on in the very first issue, so it's not really a spoiler, but Uncle Ben's the one that lives right now, not Aunt May. Aunt May died a while back, so that's one of the big different relationship dynamics, because he has Uncle Ben and not Aunt May. And also Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson are business partners. They both worked at the Daily Bugle, and now they've started their own independent news group because the Daily Bugle in the first issue gets bought by Kingpin, and they want to do propaganda, and they're, real deal news guys, so they won't do that. So they start their own bit, and they are great together. Hickman does a fantastic job writing their dialogue. It's one of my favorite relationships in the book, is that friendship between Jonah and Ben Parker. It's great. And also Marco Cicchetto is the artist on this book. So you know it looks pretty. It looks very pretty. I've been a big fan of his for a while now, and he never lets me down. He's amazing. The final Marvel comic I'd suggest you pick up is Get Fury. This is another Punisher book from Garth Ennis, and Jason Burrows is on art. This is, again, as always, Ennis kills it on Punisher. He just understands the character. Takes place in the same time frame as like Punisher Born. It's very much sort of like a sister book to that. This is back in Vietnam, and Punisher gets approached and he says, "Hey, Nick Fury has been captured by the enemy, and we need you to kill him. We can't get him out of there. He's got a lot of secrets and things, and he can't be cracked. He can't have the Vietnamese torture him and let him know, and he lets them know our secrets." So they say, "Hey, you got to go behind enemy lines and kill him." A lot of things are revealed that that's not exactly the case. There's a conspiracy and things going on, and that's not the case. And the CIA and these people that are behind it are hoping that Punisher doesn't figure it out, and Punisher's behind enemy lines. You gotta see if he figures it out. I won't spoil exactly what the conspiracy and all that is, but it's really interesting. It's cool. Again, Garth Ennis kills it on Punisher every time, and Jason Burrows does a good job. And I'm enjoying this comic a lot. Again, it's only a miniseries, but it's really good, and I would never say to not pick up an Ennis Punisher book, because he always does a great job. Next up is DC, starting off with Green Lantern from Jeremy Adams and Hermancio. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry. Amazing artist, though. He draws Hal so well, and the constructions, everything looks so good. But Jeremy Adams is one of the best writers in comics right now, and Green Lantern is no exception. He does a great job with Green Lantern. He understands Hal Jordan. It's really cool. The Green Lantern Corps is in a weird spot right now. I don't really understand because I didn't read the stuff that led up to it. But the Guardians no longer lead the Green Lantern Corps. They gave it up. Now there's this one guy that is the leader of it. He's corrupt, and they've done a lot of things with Oa that have caused problems for the emotional spectrum as a whole. So crazy things are happening with the emotional spectrum, and it's nuts. They also quarantined off Earth sector, so no one's supposed to go there, and there's not supposed to be any lanterns there, but of course Hal is doing his thing. There's drama with Carol. Carol Ferris is engaged to this one guy, and Hal is trying to get back into her life and be like, "Hey, I can be there for you." And it's very interesting what's going on, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really good, and it might be the best book at DC right now. Again, Jeremy Adams is amazing. This book, I highly recommend it. It's getting a bit bogged down by Absolute Power right now, but once the Absolute Power event is over, it'll be great again. It's just Absolute Power is a DC event going on right now, and it sucks that books have to tie into it, but Green Lantern, still very much worth picking up. The next book I'm suggesting is also a Green Lantern comic, which is Green Lantern War Journal from Philip Kennedy Johnson and Montos. They are doing an amazing job on this comic. This is the John Stewart Green Lantern comic. It's a maxi series, and it's about to end. We are at issue 11 out of 12. Issue 12 is about to come out soon, so it's not really an ongoing to keep picking up. But if you haven't read any of it, you got 12 great issues to read. It's really cool. You've got John Stewart dealing with the fact that his mom has dementia, and a lot of things are there to unpack, and it's very interesting. That's one of the best parts of the book, is seeing what his mom has to deal with. For instance, his mom believes that John Stewart's sister, who died when she was young, is still alive because, again, she's got dementia, and John Stewart has made a construct of his young sister, of his kid sister, to be there for her, and it's very sad and tragic how that goes. But it's really interesting, one of the best parts of the book, and this book has a lot of heart, and John Stewart does something badass every issue that makes you just go, hell yeah, when you read it. Philip Kennedy Johnson is great with that, with character moments, where there's just like at least one thing in every issue where I'm like, hell yeah, that's sick. And just the way he writes John Stewart is great. And Guy Gardner shows up a little bit in here, so if you're a Guy Gardner fan, there's that as well. And it's really cool. And again, it's Philip Kennedy Johnson, so there's a lot of big overarching lore, and it connects sort of to the Warworld saga. There's more of that stuff in here as well. So if you enjoyed that lore, then you'll like this as well. And yeah, it's just a great comic. And yes, Montos is a killer on this book. It is so cool seeing all the different constructs that Jon Stewart creates in just this massive space fights and everything. It looks great. And my final DC comic suggestion is Kneel Before Zod from Joe Casey and Dan McCade. It is a great book. It's the best Superman adjacent book there is because the Superman comics aren't too great right now, but Kneel Before Zod is amazing. I've been a fan of Joe Casey for a long time. I've loved a lot of stuff he's written, and he's still got the juice. He does a great job with this. This book starts off with Zod having his own planet. He's got his wife and his son. Then they get attacked by aliens. It's a badass seeing him just take out all these aliens, but a lot of things happen during that time. Tragic things and things that cause Zod to go off planet by himself. So now he's off planet. He ends up taking over a prison ship, and there's a lot of different aliens and creatures and some iconic characters also on that ship that cause him some problems, and it's cool seeing him interact with this greater DC universe, and it's just great. And Joe Casey has such a good voice for Zod. He really gets the character, and I've been really enjoying this comic a lot. Every month when it comes out, it's such a joy to read, and Dan McCade does a great job on the art for this book. I really like the style, and it fits Zod really well, and it's just cool. I love this comic. It's something that I didn't even know I wanted. I didn't really even think about, like, oh yeah, I'd love to read an ongoing Zod comic, even though he is one of my favorite comic book villains. Not every villain is built for their own solo series, but Zod turns out he is. He's very interesting to follow, and he can carry his own series. So I would highly recommend you pick this one up. Now, I am just one man, so I obviously can't read every single comic book that comes out. So I reached out to my Discord to see what suggestions they had for what comics they're enjoying every month and they think people should read. And I'll also link in the description if you want to join my Discord. We talk about comics and all type of stuff on there. But let's get into these suggestions. So Frank Sheev says Titan Comics Conan the Barbarian, which I've heard a lot of good things about that. I've read one issue and enjoyed it. Oh, It's That Guy says Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run and current Captain America by JMS. Couldn't agree more with Green Lantern. Captain America JMS, I'm not the biggest fan of his run right now. I don't think it's very good, but Oh, It's That Guy likes it, so maybe you will as well. Leonard Snart suggests pretty much anything written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Obviously, I agree with that take. That's essentially what I said in this video. Soundwave suggests everything out by Ghost Machine. Yep. Geiger, Redcoat, Rook's Exodus. And he says Eternal Warriors just started up last week, and that's pretty good. Logan suggests Ultimate Spider-Man and Daniel Warner Johnson's Transformers. I've heard a million amazing things about Daniel Warner Johnson's Transformers, but I'm not a Transformers fan myself, so that's why I don't read it, but I heard it's amazing. Alex said Green Lantern by Jeremy Adams, Hulk by PKJ, Local Man by Tim Seeley, and he also says Superman by Joshua Williamson, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Everything Ghost Machine or Energon Universe are also up there. King Infernape says House of Zod. I think he means Kneel Before Zod, I'm guessing, because I don't think there's any book called House of Zod out right now. And that guy says, have pretty much dropped all modern comics, but I've been reading new Ultimate Spider-Man every month. It's not exactly creative quarters, but there you go. Again, like I talked about earlier in the video, everyone's reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Mighty Zeo Gold also says Ultimate Spider-Man. There's a reason it's like the highest selling comic book right now. But that's it. That's my suggestions. That's my Discord suggestions. But I also want to hear from you down in the comments down below. What are comics that you're picking up right now that you're really enjoying? What would you suggest people pick up? But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some comics that you're intrigued you, piqued your interest, that you're going to go pick up. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, you know I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.